All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to the channel. If you're a fan of God of War, get ready for some exciting news about the future of the series. We just got some hidden secrets that give us some clues about what's to come in God of War 6. As you know, the Norse saga ended with Ragnarok, so it makes sense that the next game would be a soft reboot and feature a different mythology. While there have been rumors that the series could move towards Egyptian mythology, this new information could mean something entirely different. We'll be diving into all the details, so be sure to stick around until the end. You won't want to miss this. God of War Ragnarok was one of the biggest launches of 2022 and almost swept the Game Awards this year. If it wasn't for that other big game, Elden Ring, Ragnarok would have absolutely taken home the Game of the Year, and for millions of people, it is their Game of the Year. Sony absolutely struck gold with the Norse reboot of the God of War franchise back in 2018, and with Ragnarok being a worthy follow-up, many fans are looking to the future and wondering what Santa Monica Studios have in store for us. While it's still very early to say anything for certain, it's 100% confirmed that a new God of War game is in development, and in this video, we've got a bunch of Easter eggs and teasers to talk about from different live streams and interviews, but probably the most blatant tease for the future of the franchise is via tier. Many in the community already know this, but not too long ago, Ragnarok director Eric Williams stated that the franchise is ready to branch into other mythologies and also revealed that there is some meaning in Tyr's 6 different animations in God of War Ragnarok. When exploring the post-game world, Tyr has 6 different states that he can be found in, and while Eric Williams refused to clarify what he meant by that, he made it pretty clear that these animations contain clues as to where the franchise is going next. The clues may be cryptic and the community may spend years trying to decipher it, but one thing is known for sure: Santa Monica Studios are looking towards the future and the Norse saga is over, at least with the video game universe. Obviously, we know that Prime just ordered a God of War show that is based on the Norse mythology version, but other than that, it looks like Sony is looking to reboot the series once again with a new setting. Some fans have claimed to have the Easter egg figured out, but obviously without Santa Monica Studios confirming anything, it's hard to tell for sure. Some have suggested that Williams is talking about the different poses Tyr is sitting in throughout the different realms, which would mean that there are references to things like judo, yoga, tai chi, but we'll cover what that means a little later in the video. Today's video is sponsored by Bloodline Heroes of Lithis, a hero collector fantasy RPG game. This game has one of the most unique game mechanics I've ever seen, and yes, the game also looks great. Download and try out the game for free and receive an amazing starter pack. Now is the best time to try out Bloodline, as the game is having its best update ever. The new Lycan clan Goltong is coming to the game this Christmas with a sleek design. They are the most brutal damage dealers yet to be found in the world of Lithis, with different weapons and skill sets on each gender. Combine this brand new lineage of bloodlines with existing ones to get even stronger hybrids. For a limited time only, players will be able to obtain a Goltong champion for free by participating in the Christmas event starting December 22nd. In Bloodline, you could build your kingdom and collect champions to defend it and the world. But even better, you can create your own unique legendary champions through their unique marriage system and combine the bloodlines of elves, demons, demigods, orcs, dwarves, lycans, dragonborn, vampires, etc. to create different new hybrids. The hybrid system is mind-blowing. Starting this December, all players can enjoy battling in the new Guild War Valley of Conquerors on brand new maps and being rewarded with legendary hybrids. Conquer territories with your guild members and claim rewards to create the most unique hybrid champions called Bloodcraft Legends. For the first season, everyone has the chance to claim Bloodcraft champion Scarlet, a rare combination of demigods and vampires. Gather your team and start playing now so that you can get her for free by simply beating your enemies. New bloodlines and legendary hybrids are constantly being released into the game, which means that the possibilities are endless for you to seek out the greatest hybrid to suit your style. Bloodline has visually stunning 3D realistic graphics, raise heirs with companions and waifus, build your own kingdom and economy with strategic gameplay, beautiful scenes and interesting storylines, easy to use controls on a vertical screen. Download the game now for free on both Android and iOS. Be sure to use my link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen right here and get a special starter pack worth $20 using my link. This includes 3 stamina potions, 100,000 gold, 100 diamonds, and you also get a new Lycan champion for free this Christmas. One thing that I find very interesting is the directing situation over at Santa Monica Studios. As most of you probably know, the 2018 game was directed by Cory Barlog, and while many of you probably would have assumed he did the sequel, given how vocal he has been on Twitter, you would actually be wrong. God of War Ragnarok was directed primarily by Eric Williams, with Cory co-directing and producing this game in a less demanding role. While some people saw this as Cory simply wanting to take a more supportive role this time, others have suggested that he's already working on the next game, with Eric Williams shouldering shouldering much of the director duties for God of War Ragnarok, Cory Barlog would be given much more space to spread his creative wings and come up with something epic for the next saga. After all, God of War Ragnarok continued on where 2018 left off, whereas the next God of War game is set to feature an entirely new setting. Giving Barlog a more supportive role in Ragnarok makes total sense if you're trying to free up space for him to blow us away in God of War 6, the same way he blew us all away with God of War 2018. Now, in previous interviews, Barlog stated that they have already begun work on the next God of War title, and the team has been debating between using Egyptian or Mayan mythology for inspiration. As you know, the original God of War series was based on Greek mythology, while the 2018 reboot and its sequel focused on Norse mythology. While it seems a little quick to change settings after 2 games, there was a whopping 4-year gap between the 2 Norse games, much longer than the wait between any of the original 3 God of War titles. When you look at the series from a time standpoint, the franchise will have spent roughly equal time in both Greek and Norse mythology by the time God of War 6 is released. So it makes sense to pivot settings for the next game instead of making the Norse storyline a trilogy like the Greek one was. Remember, we're also getting God of War Amazon Prime show in the near future that is likely based on the Norse storyline. So I think by that time and a new God of War game rolls around, people will be ready for a change of scenery. All that being said, it really seems like Egypt was the setting that won the internal debate for God of War 6. There's also concept art pieces of God of War 2018 that suggested the game was originally going to take place within Egyptian mythology instead of the Norse mythology that we know, although these plans were obviously changed early in development. The point I'm getting at is that Sony Santa Monica are obviously very interested in the world of Egyptian mythology, and they've already stated that some ideas for Kratos inhabiting it. In the Ragnarok story, there's also a couple of references, including a section where Mimir references Egypt as the River Empire and that he's heard it's lovely. So even though Cory Barlog seemed divided on whether or not they were going to use Egyptian or Mayan mythology for the next game, I think all roads lead to Egypt in this case. There were a few rumors that God of War 6 would go to ancient Japan, but those didn't have a lot of validity to them. And with the announcement that Assassin's Creed is going to Japan in the near future, I doubt Sony will go that route. Now, you may be thinking right now, what about the tier poses? And I told you we'd get back to that. Now, I'm not exactly sure what to make of these, and I personally don't think they're confirmation of the Japanese setting in God of War 6. While some use the references to martial arts and the meditation to be a suggestion of an Asian setting in the next game, I don't think it's that simple. Frankly, I think that's a little too obvious for something like this. Eric Williams was being very cryptic, and when he said Tyr had the secret to the next setting, but if the secrets were this obvious, don't you think he would have just come right out and said it? I think Tyr's poses and movements are pointing to something a little less obvious, and perhaps what seems to be references to martial arts and meditation are actually metaphors for something else. It's also worth saying that the popularity of multiverse stories in movies and games nowadays, I really wouldn't be surprised if God of War 6 plot ends up tying the different mythologies together in some way, but until that happens, I think we can assume that the next game will be set within Egyptian mythology. Do you think these Tyr poses are pointed to the next mythology? Let me know what your thoughts are. Also, if you have any theories of what you think he's hinting at, let me know in the comments. I want to think that this is just the giveaway of what the next mythology will be, but then again, I don't think that they would outright tell us. I think this is just a classic misdirection. I personally think we're going to Egyptian mythology, but like I said, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. With Ragnarok launching in late 2022, close to 5 years after the launch of the 2018 games, I think it's safe to assume that we're not going to get our hands on God of War 6 until 2026 at the absolute earliest. It's also very likely that this game will definitely leave the PS4 in the dust for the franchise, as I don't think Sony is going to prioritize releasing first-party content for the PS4 beyond the next couple of years. Heck, we've already seen the PS4 struggle to keep up with modern games, so I seriously doubt Sony is going to put any effort into making sure that God of War 6 launches on the previous gen. This will likely be a PS5 exclusive with a PC port roughly 6 months to even a year after the release, assuming Sony sticks to their current PC port strategy. I'm going to assume it will launch on the PS5 exclusive in 2026 or 27. Some have suggested that Sony is going to hold on to the next God of War game until it can be released on the PS6, but I seriously doubt that. Ragnarok came out 2 years into the PS5's life cycle, and it sold like crazy. A lot of people bought PS5 consoles solely to play God of War Ragnarok. The PlayStation 5 has at least another 6 to even 7 years on the market, and there's no way that Sony waits that long to release another God of War game, especially if Sony Santa Monica are already working on it. As we come to the end of this video, I can't help but wonder what mythology will the new God of War Saga take us on. It's always exciting to see what stories the developers will bring to life in the game. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. While you're here, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel with your notifications on so you never miss an update, and be sure to check back on the channel for the latest and greatest gaming news. This has been Wes, and I will talk to you guys on the next video.